Are you the one for me? How can I ever know? Will there forever be this moment's magical? Are you the one for me? I wish I knew. I need your love to be my light, my whole life through. I wish I knew.
Here's a good one.
Okay, that should do it. Hey, you know, I better get you back. They'll think I've abducted you.
Oh, would you?
Try me.
Think we'd better get back.
Come on. Look, Marilyn. 12 years they've been married and they're still on a honeymoon.
Gee, that's great. I hope I can have a marriage like that.
Could I see your necking license, please? Have some marshmallow sticks. Thanks.
Hey, did that walk bring back your appetite, Doug? Here's another sandwich.
No thanks, you keep it. She'd have me as big around as I am tall.
Oh, you can just thank me that he's alive today. You know, when he first started boarding with us 3 years ago, he was the most lean, hungry-looking student the campus had ever seen.
And then Shirley went to work on him. And like with everything else she does, she was a rousing success.
Well, thank you.
Hey, kids, come on over here. Marshmallow time. This ought to do it.
I knew that would
Hey,
work.
one for each of you. There
Look,
you
how
go.
about some for you? Thank you.
Hey, how about us?
Well, here you go.
Gee, this is fun. Thanks a lot for inviting us.
Glad you could come. We sort of like to demonstrate the joy of family life as often as possible.
You sure do a good job of that. Doug never stops talking about you two.
Well, he couldn't have a better example than Michael.
Mama, my marshmallow's on fire.
Oh, well, and I hereby present him with a marshmallow.
Speech! Thank you, thank you. Here you go.
Well, you know, I wonder why my folks never took us on picnics.
Oh, I don't know. And the way you describe them, they don't sound much like picnic people to me.
What do you mean?
Well, honey, a picnic's a pretty conventional thing. Your folks aren't.
Doug, that isn't fair.
Look, honey, it's nothing against your parents. It's just that they're different.
Different from what?
From my folks, for one thing.
Your folks. Isn't everybody?
Oh, now what do you mean?
Your father sounds like the closest thing I've ever heard of to Queen Victoria.
Come on, how did we get on this?
By your attacking my parents.
Excuse me. I meant to attack their daughter. Nah!
Oh, Doug. Queen Victoria didn't teach you much.
Not a thing.
Oh, wonderful.
What's wonderful?
Thinking of Doug, Esther, I really think this is it.
You know what I think? We're gonna be late for work if you don't get a move on. Hey, as of last night, I got it all figured out.
What figured out?
My marriage, why it died.
Oh.
I'm sort of performing an autopsy in this marriage class I'm taking.
Yeah.
Well, I know now how good marriage can be, and I want to be ready for her when the chance comes again. I've been batting my brains to figure out what I did that was wrong, what he did that was wrong, what that driver did that was wrong. But when it comes right down to it, it's this. We just should never have gotten married in the first place.
Oh?
It was no good. It was just a lousy match. Of course, we were kids then. We didn't know what marriage was all about. But now at least I'm more mature. I think I'll be better able to judge.
Well, weren't you in love with Bill?
Love? Sure. If you mean, did he turn me on? Wow. But let me tell you something, sweetheart. Contrary to popular opinion, once the marriage knot is tied, making love is not your only occupation.
But could you have known all this beforehand? All these differences?
Sure, if I'd been smart. For instance, we went to visit his parents. They didn't like me, and I didn't like them.
Felt out of place, huh?
Like a pork chop in a synagogue.
Gee, Doug and I haven't even met each other's folks yet. So far, we're neither one too impressed.
And friends. That's another thing that bugged us. I didn't like his, and he couldn't stand mine. In fact, we never agreed on anything important. I guess the only thing we had going for us was sex. And even that can get to be pretty unsatisfying if nothing else is right.
Well, just don't make the same mistake the second time.
Right. And don't you make it the first time.
Don't worry, Mama. Hey, how about this for the dance tomorrow night?
Cute.
The one for me. How can I ever know? Will there forever be this moment's magical? Are you the one for me? I wish I knew. I need your love to be my light, my whole life through. I wish I knew.
Thank you.
Say, that's a beautiful dress.
Do you like it?
It's nice. You know, it's going to take some rich man to keep you in the style to which you're becoming accustomed.
It's working in that dress shop. I see something and I just can't resist it.
Put yourself on a budget.
Budget? How boring.
You may have to someday.
I'll think about it tomorrow. Hey, there's real butter in this frosting.
Margarine. No bakeries these days use butter.
Well, Doug, there are some people who take pride in their work, who like to put out a good product.
Not in the business world. You get as much as you can for the least effort.
Doug,
What's the matter?
I'm just wondering how it would be to have a cynic for a husband.
No more challenging than to marry a Pollyanna. Someone who's naive and gullible.
But what about children, Doug? Don't they need to grow up feeling secure, knowing the world's a safe place?
Is it safe?
Of course it is.
Okay. Hey, speaking of children, I promised Shirley I'd take the kids off her hands tomorrow. She's got a club meeting. How about you and I taking them to the zoo?
Sure. I love the zoo.
Your mother said, only the popcorn, huh?
Aw, please!
No?
Oh, come on, Doug. I'll buy the hot dogs for them.
Well, look, honey, I told Shirley I'd do what she said. Now, the kids have eaten nothing but junk all day. But the mother's going to have dinner on the table in half an hour. And, well, if they're full of hot dogs, she won't be happy.
Weren't you ever a child, Doug? What's a visit to the zoo without hot dogs? It's part of the Well, part of the ritual.
And what these kids need more than hot dogs is a little self-control. Now, many people could use just a little self-control.
Meaning me?
You said that. You know, you'll probably spoil your children rotten.
And why not? Children are entitled to a little spoiling. Before long, they're adults and it's all over.
And if they're spoiled kids, they'll be spoiled adults. Well, children think the whole universe has to revolve around them these days. Marilyn, look, I'm not going to be mean to my kids, but I do want to help them develop a little self-control and responsibility. Now, can't you see that?
Oh, I don't see what all this has to do with having a hot dog at the zoo. I think you're mean.
Come on, kids.
Hi, kids. You have a good time?
Yeah, boy, was it fun.
Good.
Doug and Marilyn had a fight.
Marcia.
Tattletale.
Go on now, you two. Get washed up.
Did you and Shirley ever disagree on much before you got married?
Nothing important. We sort of took our time and got to know each other pretty thoroughly.
Well, there was the time I wanted to dye my hair, and Michael about had a fit.
Did you do it?
No, it was a struggle, but he finally convinced me I was gorgeous, just the way I was.
You have to think alike on the essentials. And then with the minor things, you have to be able to give and take.
Are you and Marilyn having troubles, Doug?
Sort of. For instance,
What if we had children and didn't agree on how to raise them? He believes in spanking and I don't. They'd grow up neurotic.
Don't we all?
And you know what else? Sometimes I think we just look at life differently. He thinks I'm gullible and, well, sometimes I think he's a little bit cynical.
Marilyn, why don't you come with me tonight?
Where?
My marriage class. This is exactly what we're talking about. How to find out if you're a good match. If you're compatible. And it's informal. We all just discuss things.
Oh, I don't know. All that scientific stuff bores me. Besides, I don't want a marriage arranged by a computer.
You'd prefer one arranged by your glands? Look, Marilyn, I don't go for the cold, calculating approach either. But this time around, I'm going to be just a little more intelligent about it. You know, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and I got the pounds to prove it.
Okay, why not?
And hurry! So far, I've got a perfect attendance record for sitting right by the most eligible boy in the class.
This morning I found a good comment on love and marriage. If of all words of tongue and pen, the saddest are it might have been, more sad are these we daily see, it is, but hadn't ought to be. You probably all know at least one marriage like this. We counselors see them all the time. People who, if they had been better matched, would have been spared a lot of grief and had much richer lives.
Story of my
Once
life.
in a while, much as you try to avoid it, mismatching will occur. Frequently, the couple involved just gets carried away by their emotions. Every marriage has both positive and negative elements. And the more compatible two people are, the more positive their marriage will be. Now, we've already mentioned temperament. What are some other compatibilities?
Needs. For instance, my mother she really needed to belong to every social club and committee there was around.
Or thought she needed?
One year, she was president of 3 women's clubs. We nearly starved that year. And she was always after Dad to try for this or that. Even wanted him to run for a county office. Drove him nuts. He couldn't have cared less about all that.
Well, another compatibility that's important is role conceptions. And believe me, on this one, I know what I'm talking about. Well, last year I was engaged to a boy who wanted a wife to be a housekeeper, a cook, and a babysitter. He wanted to make all the decisions, and I was supposed to wait on him hand and foot. Before long, I realized that this setup wasn't for me.
But would this boy be a good mate for another girl?
Well, sure. He'd be okay for a girl who wanted to settle for that.
Now that's an important point. Someone who isn't the best match for you might be quite compatible with the next person. Any other compatibilities?
What about values? Like, how do the two of you look at life? Look at people? Feeling the same about religion, family size, leisure time.
Like my folks, for example. They could never agree on how to spend money. Mom would have bought books all the time, books and paintings. And if he could have, Dad would have had a dozen sports cars.
Money. That's a tough one.
Gosh, with all these things to worry about, it's a wonder anybody's married.
I know. But remember, needs, values, etc. are just the specifics we can point to in discussing compatibility. There's something else that governs the way people get along, a kind of overall personality reaction. You have to tiptoe around in your relationship. Do you embarrass each other? Or are you comfortable enough together to air your troubles without feeling rejected? Are you honestly proud of each other? If so, you can be flexible enough to adapt and to help each other grow.
So, how do you get answers to all these things? Run your date through an IBM machine?
Not your date, just your data. As a matter of fact, there are some things you can do to get to know your prospective mate better. Things we too often ignore. First of all,
Do different things on dates. Try out each other's hobbies.
Now then, are you all warmed up? Then let's have the first group move into place and we'll take our compositional studies.
Gail, have you finished your composition?
Yeah.
How'd you like it?
It was interesting.
You hated it.
Well, no, I didn't. 15 good-looking girls in black leotards. How could I hate it? I'm not sure I understood it, but...
You hated it. I knew you would.
Well, no, I didn't.
Modern dance requires a sense of beauty, an appreciation of movement and emotion. And it's a challenge.
A real thrill to dance. A lot more productive way to spend your time than...
Fishing? You hate it. I knew you would.
I don't hate it. It's just boring. Dancing is relaxing and creative at the same time. Besides, I want to teach it someday.
I thought you wanted to get married someday.
Of course I do. But that doesn't mean I still can't dance or teach. Does it?
I guess that depends on who you marry.
All right. What's your wife going to do?
Do? Be a wife and a mother. It seems to me that's enough of a career.
Women can vegetate that way, Doug. We have been emancipated, you know.
Well, look, what's more important? Jumping around with a bunch of women in black leotards or taking care of a home and children?
It's not an either-or thing, Doug. You can do both.
But not well.
How come we've never talked about these things before?
Just never came up, I guess. Hey.
Doug, is that all we have in common?
Well, it's a pretty good start.
But with us, it's not only where we start, but where we end up. Some growing relationship we've got.
Well, don't get all excited about it.
I will get excited if I want to.
Oh, Meryl.
Don't, Doug!
Doug! Oh, Doug, I'm sorry. Oh, Esther, it was awful.
Is he mad at you?
Oh, no. He doesn't get mad. He just stays calm and collected and makes me feel like an idiot. In fact, we're alike in practically nothing. Compatibility? Wow.
Oh, Marilyn, I don't know. This is gonna sound pretty square, but maybe it's better to find out now than later, huh?
But Esther, I don't want to break up with him. I love him. I think.
What do you mean, I love him? Sure, you melt when you're in his arms, but what else? One day, he'll be a 70-year-old man. What will you two be sharing then? Look, breaking up's no fun. But it's a picnic compared to doing it after marriage.
But maybe he'll change, Esther, or maybe I will. He could decide it's not so bad for women to work a little outside the home. And I could change my mind about disciplining children and things like that.
Well, people can change, but I wouldn't count on it. I couldn't get Bill to change so much as his table manners. If you're gonna marry Doug, marry him for what he is now. There are some things you can help him to change if your relationship's right. But there are some things Doug can't change. And there are some things you can't change either.
Marilyn, I think maybe we hadn't better see each other for a while anyway.
I know.
We don't seem to be making it, do we?
No. I like you a lot, Doug. I guess we're just not terribly compatible.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been thinking about it. I know I'm really not what you need in a husband,
And there are other girls, I guess, that are closer to what you need in a wife.
maybe. The thing is, Marilyn, I know that marriage can be great if the match is right and if you work at it. Well, that's what I want for me, and I want the same thing for you. But I just like you so much, I want you to be happy, I really do.
I know. I'll always remember you, Doug, and all the fun things that we've done together. I hope we can still be good friends.
Oh, sure. Well, I'll check back now and then. Who knows what might happen in a year or so. Hey, let's not waste that music. Huh?